Hey guys. This is always a bit awkward. Some of you guys might have noticed that I haven't really been streaming on Twitch in the last several days. It's been like a week now. And I basically wanted to make this video to talk about where I've been at, what I've been doing, some of my plans for the future. A lot of people are like, well, is Swim quitting LOR? Spoiler alert, I'm not. And yeah, just keep you guys posted, right? I'm gonna do a quick TLDW in the next like 60 seconds, so you guys don't have to watch the entire video if you don't want to. They end up pretty rambly because I don't script these or anything like that. So yeah, here it is. Basically, I've actually been playing Runeterra. I've been playing some offline Runeterra, doing some recordings that I actually am gonna put some of those on YouTube. I realized that I didn't burn out on Runeterra as much as I burned out on live streaming, and that's something that, just kind of needs a bit of a break. I'm not like quitting live streaming or anything like that, and I probably will be back to normal streams somewhat soon, but I don't really want to commit necessarily to a specific day or anything like that. In the meantime, I'll be refocusing on YouTube. You guys have to realize that, like, since I've been doing this for any game I've been kind of, I guess, creating content for, always feels weird calling it that. I'm just a gamer, dude. But yeah, this entire time, I basically just stream on Twitch, and then, I'll upload highlights or sometimes guide stuff, But I've always been like Twitch first and YouTube second, and I want to take a bit of a chance, like just kind of taking a bit of a break from streaming and just doing recorded guides, which what that means for you guys is there's going to be more Meta Mondays, more guides, a lot of improvements to that kind of thing. I'll talk more about that later. And I also wanted to let you guys know that my next two streams are going to be, I have two tournaments that are coming up. One of them is going to be on Friday starting at 2 p.m. The other is going to be on Saturday at 11 a.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. So tomorrow and the day after. I've been preparing lineups and kind of like scrimming with friends, again, all off stream, for actually like 2 days now. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun playing those. You guys can come hang out. Those might be the only streams I'm going to do for a while, or maybe I'll just be totally fine coming back to streaming again literally then. Honestly, who knows? The deck lineups I'm bringing for them are actually going to be pretty spicy, and they're actually different tournament formats too, so it'll be kind of interesting seeing how it all plays out. I'll talk maybe a little bit more later in the video about how the lineups actually go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you want to, come join me playing in these tournaments, it's going to be obviously on twitch.tv/swimstream. And I hope to see some of you guys there. It'll be a lot of fun, just, coming out, hanging out, backseating. And yeah, that's it. That's my recap. So you now have everything you needed from this video. I'll talk a little more about specifics and details and about kind of like the story of really what I've been doing for the past 9 days and kind of like how I came to some of the realizations that I have. So I've actually been very unhappy with my videos and content and how I've been doing things for a long time. I have, obviously, I mean, you guys know it's a meme, it's a fucking joke that, my website, my like meta reports are kind of like very scattered. It's really hard for me properly getting a schedule for them, and part of that is because I put a ton of like time and research into each of those, and they're usually very accurate when they're up to date. The only problem is, as of recently, they've been basically never really up to date, and a lot of this because I forced myself to spend so much time for at least the past year basically just doing my live streams, and I end up, like, at the end of the day when I'm done with that, very exhausted. I still have some other things to do, things to respond to, and it's just a headache for me to do anything past that. And a large part of it is, like, a lot of people don't really think about this too much, but the like live streaming format, which is true for Twitch, but it's true for every other live streaming site too. Live streaming as a concept really tends to reward quantity over quality in terms of like broadcasts. Like, obviously quality matters, it's very important, but those kinds of services, you get rewarded as a, for being on the platform a lot more for the hours you put in rather than, the quality of your game. And honestly, that's just been kind of miserable for me, just because, I have been forcing myself to feel like you know, I have to put in a certain number of hours. I have to, right? It's like, it's what I have to do. And it has hurt the quality of everything, of my live stream, of like my ability to record YouTube videos. Honestly, the quality of my just kind of like enjoyment of life in general. And it's something I should have realized a while ago. Now, does this mean I plan on quitting streaming? And no, I don't. I still really enjoy streaming, but it's just like for so long that they kind of like, it got to be a bit of a slog, you know? And if you guys have been watching me for at least several months, this is not this first kind of video of this kind that you've seen on this channel. You know, like you've seen some of these kinds of updates of, oh, I burned out for a week, that kind of stuff. This is like the 5th one I've uploaded this year. The thing is, there's kind of something about being just so completely open and just exposed and raw for so many hours. It's like 50 hours a week for years. That just kind of like wears you down after a while, you know? And yeah, I mean, I really enjoy it. I love hanging out with you guys. It's a ton of fun. It's just something that, you know, I do need to limit myself a little bit and be okay taking breaks here and there. And a lot of it is just because there's just a lot of negativity in gaming culture in general. A lot of people say toxic. Yeah, it's definitely sometimes gets there. There's a fine line, you know. There's a lot of like I love having like a kind of like playful banter, and it's very important. I do legitimately think that a lot of people like I don't think anyone's really meaning to be negative. Mostly it's like some people maybe just kind of like you're on edge or having a bad day or just like low roll an unfortunate comment, or you know, you've got honestly a lot of it is actually just humor, to be honest. I think a lot of and this is true in like kind of any a lot of these interactions is like someone's maybe trying to make a joke, and if the joke doesn't land, then it comes off like they're being a dick when they're not trying to. Honestly, this last one is super common. You'll see that so much if you're looking out for it in like any social situation, and it just like, I don't know, it's not really about the positivity to negativity ratio, like, because it usually is positive, but you know, when you're around it so much, it obviously the negativity ends up outweighing the positivity, regardless of quantity or frequency. But yeah, I mean, it's not really anyone's fault. I think it's largely just a byproduct of kind of like how things work on that platform and in like the kind of like culture that we generally have that leads to, yeah, just an excess of that kind of thing. It naturally leads to a lot of drama, a lot of misinformation, a lot of like he said, she said. It feels like, you know, everything's like a big game of telephone, right? It's like, and a lot of people are like, again, I don't really think people are doing this on purpose, but there's people like coming into streamers chats being like, oh, this streamer said something about you, and you know, sometimes trying to stir up drama, but honestly, mostly just misunderstanding stuff. It's very fucking high school-y is what it is, which I mean makes sense because, you know, a lot of the people are actually in high school, right? You know, maybe you are right now. Anyway, I guess it just gets a little old after a while. What else? Yeah, I've been playing, you know, Legends of Runeterra off stream. I realized something, you know, it's been a couple of months since the last Twitch Rivals. You know, when I was prepping for that one, that was the second one, the like triathlon one. I took basically a full week off streaming right before it to prepare lineups, do scrimming. Obviously, a lot of it was to kind of like keep strategies a secret, because when you're preparing for tournaments in card games, you really can't do it publicly. This is true for every game, I guess. You know, you can't really like show everyone your strategies because it actually matters a lot. And, you know, I really enjoyed that. That was like one of the best weeks of my life. And it was just a ton of fun, and I realized, yeah, I mean, I really do love the game. It's just breaks some streaming that I need from time to time. That's mostly it. But I was playing for many hours, so I'm trying to remember. Like 2 days ago, I stayed up for like 41 hours, just being like a complete degenerate and just playing, playing with friends. And it was a lot of fun. There was like one, obviously unhealthy, but there was one night where we all just stayed up. Just kind of like playing together. I was playing like ladder, and I was optimizing a Lee Sin deck, the Lee Sin version that's currently on my website right now, and might be one of the decks that I'm bringing for the tournament, maybe, or some version of it. You know, I climbed 300 LP with that, actually, which is kind of crazy, right? It was a lot of fun playing on ladder, and I had a absolutely absurd win rate with the deck. I don't really track number by number, but it was like 85% plus over a really long period of time, because it was 300 LP in like, you know, 6 hours or 7 hours or something like that. By the way, this is completely meaningless, because this is kind of like how you climb LP right now in Masters ranks. I'm not doing like a humble brag. This is literally how everyone who is at a high rank in Masters plays. It's a really abusable system, because everyone just queues up late at night, and you get paired into like a fucking plastic 2 player, and it's super easy to just farm wins, because the system right now, the way it's set up, doesn't really care about the skill of the person you're playing against. It just kind of like rewards you on like almost a flat level. Anyway, don't worry about that. That's a whole different conversation. They're gonna fix that, no big deal. But yeah, no, I just had a ton of fun, and it made me realize, yeah, I really do enjoy the game. Now, I mean, I'm basically, my point in this video is that, yeah, I still like LOR. I'm mostly burnt out on streaming. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not like, I am, I guess, like a bit burnt out on LOR. I always like, can I mention something? This is a huge, big pet peeve of mine. People throw around this word because, and I literally have no idea what that word even means. Like, for example, someone will say, oh, Swim's not streaming right now because Legends of Runeterra, you know, something meta, there's not a lot of new decks or something like that, right? And that's like sort of kind of true. What is true is that if there were a ton of new stuff, that I probably would still be streaming, I guess. But there's, what the hell does because mean? There's like, things happen for more than one reason. I have no idea what people mean when they say the word because. But yeah, anyway, for the most part, I'm still enjoying the game. Don't get me wrong. You know, most of what I love about, you know what, I love kind of like the idea of novelty, the idea of like learning. There's, you know, you guys saw me playing some like Spellbreak lately, but just because, you know, it was a new thing, I was able to like learn it, learning new cards and like trying to like solve puzzles, right? Because a lot of it is just like, that's what I love about card games, trying to like innovate new concepts. And it really just feels like there's not as much to do as there have been with other patches, and there's a lot of factors for that. I've talked about it a lot. A lot of people blame Hush, and Hush is part of the problem. It's being kind of over circle jerked. It's been kind of over circle jerked. It's been absolutely over circle jerked, because there's a few issues. The biggest thing is probably just like how they're splitting up the expansion systems. I think is something that I was interested to see how it would work out. And I think it's possible that it could work better with some tweaks. But honestly, it's like, it seems like it's not really great moving forward. I've talked to a lot of, like, nobody really seems to love the expansion system. And I think there's a pretty good chance they'll be making some major adjustments to it, or just kind of like changing how they do expansions, you know, moving forward. And that's fine. You know, I think that I'm still, you know, really excited for the new content in this game. And for me, I mean, that's also why I'm really enjoying doing this tournament prep, because tournaments is a whole different puzzle. It's a whole different game, you know, with like lineup design, with a bit of like prediction, and trying to, you know, compile a lineup that is able to sort of like smooth out weaknesses and stuff like that. There's a ton of skill to that is just a completely different game than ladder, you know. And that, I guess that's a large part of why me and a lot of other competitive players are somewhat, you know, a bit burnt out on the Runeterra scene, because there's not a ton of tournaments. That's going to change, because they're announcing this the Riot EU tournament, and they're going to do one for NA, I'm sure, afterwards. I just referred to myself as a competitive player, which I'm sure some of you guys scoffed at that, which is because, I mean, I haven't really been playing in tournaments because I honestly haven't really been interested. There's not really tournaments. I'd love to play in more. There's been, you know, the Twitch rivals that I've played in, and, you know, there's this upcoming one, but for the most part, there's just not enough tournaments with big interest. I'm really looking forward to, you know, being able to play in more stuff, honestly. And yeah, I mean, you know, when I'm not feeling it, when things are stale for me, I've just been forcing myself to stream, and on it, my content has been shit. It's like, and don't do that thing where you're like, oh, Swim, no, it's fine. It's like, on some days it's pretty good, but if you guys have watched me for a while, you can tell the difference. There's a lot of days where I've just been like very, you know, half-hearted, and you can really tell that, you know, I'm just feeling kind of defeated. There's just not too much to mess around with, and I don't like, you know, it's a terrible habit of mine, just kind of forcing that, because I'm forcing that on myself, and I'm forcing that on you guys too. That's not good. And honestly, it's kind of become a bit of a vicious loop at times, because, you know, I'll force myself to churn out some mediocre shit, and, you know, I'll see some comment that's like, oh, Swim's tier lists or shit, they're always out of date. Yeah, they have been very out of date recently, and that might just kind of make me even like more negative and less motivated. And this is, again, my fault. There's some part of my internal process that kind of needs a bit of rearranging, not too much, I think, but I just need to, the biggest thing is just not, I guess, like, force myself when I'm not feeling it. Anyway, that's kind of how things have been. I'm gonna leave you guys with one kind of final thing to I wanted to talk about, is maybe the most important of all, which really begs the question why I left it for the end, huh? Real smart move. But yeah, speaking of the, you know, the tier list and stuff, I do have some pretty big plans for new things I do want to do. It's really hard for me to, you know, commit to stuff like, you know, specific days and stuff like that, as you guys might be aware. But the Meta Mondays, and the, you know, the updates in general are not done. I am making some changes. I'm planning to sort of like, to be honest, you kind of think of it like sort of like a relaunch of this series. God, it feels weird calling it that. But it's gonna be more. Still figuring out some details, but it's gonna be a bit of a different format, more in depth in certain areas, and, you know, I don't know if it'll be on Mondays, but I'll be able to commit to like a specific day or something like that, you know, and that's gonna be, I think, really nice. I have a lot of, you know, directions. I've been wanting to kind of like upgrade it for a while, to be perfectly honest. And by the way, that's part of the reason, you know, I haven't done one recently. And yeah, other content ideas as well. You know, I mean, I've been doing the Deck Doctor series lately. I've been doing, you know, I've actually recorded like 1 or 2 deck guides, because I've been playing and making some interesting versions of decks recently. Like, I've been fine-tuning a lot of stuff, and, you know, I want to go back to doing more deck guides, like just a specific video. Here's this video, here's the deck. The video is a deck guide. It's like 30 minutes long, but knowing me, probably 40 plus. And it's just, you know, how to play the deck. I've used to do a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't know why I haven't recently. Like I said, just kind of like caught up in this vacuum of just streaming and not really like recording as much stuff. But I think there's a lot of, I think you guys will enjoy those a lot. For sure. And what I wanted to ask you guys is, you know, if there's other kinds of like content pieces you would be interested in. A really big one I wanted to do was like, and Precipic and I were talking about this, doing a sort of like how to beat kind of miniseries, like how to beat a specific deck or a specific archetype or a specific card, going in depth about like the different ways to counterplay that kind of thing, which I sort of did a little bit with like the 10 most annoying cards and how to beat them, that sort of thing, maybe going more in depth. Was one big idea I had. But yeah, I'm really interested in your guys' Like, what do you like? Honestly, real talk. What do you guys want to see as Legends of Runeterra or any content? If you, I mean, a lot of you guys will say you want to see me playing other games, and I'll do that kind of thing from time to time. But honestly, yeah. What do you guys want to see more of? Like, what are some things that you guys would be interested in? Could be anything. Could be more meme type stuff, more just kind of like competitive, as in like high ranked tournament kind of stuff, collaborations with other streamers, like kind of like God, that one thing was really fun, the sort of like Precipice idea for like the deck building competition miniseries. You guys might have seen that here. We did it with like Grappler and Nick. That was a lot of fun, and that actually literally gave us our idea for the Zephyr Sage combo deck, which is really fucking hilarious. That the Zephyr Sage combo deck, which I'm not gonna say nerfed, but they hot fixed within 2 days of us building it, was literally a deck idea that came from that stupid fucking segment. It was a ton of fun. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of great ideas that I can be doing. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any ideas. I'm not doing that like YouTuber thing where it's like, yeah, let me know in the comments for your ideas. No, I really do need more ideas. I said that in my last video too, but I'm very serious. I actually let me, you've spent years net decking me, okay? Let me net deck your ideas. Give them here. Yeah, put them in the comment.